Austen Sweetin. Let's get it on. It's all descending. All winter long.
Thanks for having me, Jody. Sorry, I was. We've been talking about it for a long time.
Oh yeah,
Hard to get,
dude. I believe that you're hard to get, dude. It's like, phew, your snowboarding has year after year has gotten so much better, and just like your taste and your style and the way you ride. I mean, it went from being like good forever to being something that I truly think that you're snowboarding something special now. I draw so much inspiration from the way you and Lucy capture snowboarding. I'm like, that hasn't been done in a long time. And I actually was reading a Todd Richards quote about him saying how hyped he was for you to join Quick, and how like what you bring to Quiksilver. And I think that you're bringing a lot to just snowboarding right now, because no one's really doing what you're doing. You know, Kazu kind of has that, and Blauvelt and Nicholas, but the way Lucy's capturing it too, and then you guys working together, seeing eye to eye, has been something special. So way to go, bud.
Thanks, Jody. I mean, wow, that means a lot to hear, because it's
dude,
it's been a long process. And I think snowboarding in general growing up, I don't know if it's for everybody, but for me, it took a lot of time to figure out who I was and what I wanted, and finding like where I fit in. And sometimes I still don't always feel like I found it, but I've definitely found the things that I like to snowboard. And I think getting on Quiksilver and Lib Tech especially really like helped out my mentality, like being with teams that I've looked up to and have like good people behind them. Because I mean, we all know it's not easy to make things, so to have the support, it's like owe a lot to them.
I like that you mentioned there that sometimes, I don't know if you use the word lost, but like you don't exactly know what your identity is when you're a young kid and what you want to bring to the table with snowboarding. So you're just drawing inspiration from people and kind of trying to just copy them. But it's only until you get a little bit older where you're like, well, how do I actually want to snowboard? Not how was I inspired to just ride like these individuals? And I know big inspirations for you was that older generation, but you're like, how do I want to snowboard? And I mean, you and I grew up in a very similar time frame. And I mean, like looking back, you know, the color, the patterns of jackets that we were wearing, and like the style, it's just like I think kids, when they watch the videos from the 90s and then the late 90s and then the early 2000s, they're inspired by that generation. But like 2006 to 2014 was like, maybe 2008 to 2014 was like some crazy, like the outerwear and the kits. It was like, and we were a part of that.
And also like, dude, I'm a little bit jealous of like the younger generation in this current era, because it's like, I love that it's becoming more accepted to like be an individual and like express like how you truly feel. Because like I mentioned, like coming into your own, I feel like when I was brought up, like, dude, when I was on Forum, I would be like, can I please just get like a black outfit to like wear on the resort? And they were just like, no, like here's your, like I had to wear like the craziest colors and like all these things. And I'm just like, I always look back and I'm like, yeah, it was sweet, but I also like, dude, I don't want to wear a jacket that has like pink, green, white, yellow, like all these crazy things. And now I'm just like, like, I don't know, maybe I just didn't stick up for some things that I really wanted, or I was just like trying to get ahead. And
well, there's a lot of moving pieces to that, because you're riding for a company that like Forum, who has been so successful in their process. So they think that they have it all dialed. And so for a team rider that's new to come on to argue the process, they're like, no, this is what works. This is Forum. Like, you know what I mean? Like we send you your kits, we dial in what we want you to look, your image, and then you become that, because this is Forum and this is the recipe for success. Where it was only until a few years later where I felt like a lot of snowboarders, you know, I would really hand it over to like some people here in Canada, like the Dope Crew, and then like Gnarly, Keegan, and Forrest, and that whole crew, like really being like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to ride like this. I mean, Videograss really like was like the saving grace for all those people that were kind of going against the grain. But even for myself at the time, you know, I'm riding for these companies, like whether it was West Beach or Tech9 or whatever, like when getting some Nike boots, like whatever people would send me here in Canada, I was like, it's not really my favorite, but I also can't complain because who am I to complain? So I would wear a Tech9 diamond sweater with purple pants and wear white sunglasses. And then now looking back, I'm like, I can't even watch my own snowboarding. But I was also too intimidated at the time to stand up against the higher powers in snowboarding, you know what I mean? And speak my truth, which I mean, now kids just do that. And all the brands are like, dope. As long as you're wearing our shit, we'll send you a black kit. Yeah. Brian Fox and Austen were a great big push for that too. So but it's also like, in a weird, funny, hilarious way, it's like looking back at that era, it's like all you can do is just laugh and be like, we'll just laugh. You have to laugh.
It was sweet. It looked like completely ridiculous, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and everyone who was part of our generation looked equally as crazy. You know what I mean? You had a giant resi toque, and then you had your sagged goggles and your frozen bandana that was like just made no sense, and then a Foot Locker tall tee that's hanging out that's bigger than your jacket. And then, you know, some people had the Air Blaster leg bag, which now looking back is like almost kind of sick.
I know, the leg bag is kind of sick.
Flood made it look cool, but I didn't really love the TJ look with it. But
Shane Flood was my childhood hero.
Sick. Good plug.
Dude, I was on like the ride regional team from like a super young kid. Like they gave me like one board and one pair of bindings a year from like the age of when I was in 6th grade.
Wow.
But randomly the rep, he lived like a mile away, and we both rode Alpental and Snoqualmie. And he was like, dude, I got this extra banner, like I want to give it to you. And it was this ride banner, and it had all the names on it, and under the AMs it had Shane Flood. And then I had gotten on Mission 6 that year, and Shane Flood was on ride and Mission 6, and I was just like 13 years old, just like, that's what I want to be, like Shane Flood's my hero. And
keep going, man. Keep more Shane Flood. I got excited.
I mean, all his old footage is so sick, dude. Like all that stuff in Japan of him like sending up like huge pillows, and like always went huge, killed it in the half pipe. Just, he was an ATV and had sick style and ran a leg bag. I never ran a leg bag, but maybe one regret in my life, I should have ran a leg bag.
I had a Shane Flood mission. I was on Mission 6 too for for 2 or 3 years until I just couldn't get any more gear because I think they just went out of business. But my first box, they like sent me this Shane Flood poster of him doing like a frontside hand plant on a stump.
Dude, yes, I know the exact one.
That's because it's amazing.
Shout out to Shane Flood. Plants in the game.
Yeah, he was sick, dude.
He was sick.
Let's stroll this back to a young Austen, just so people can kind of get a feel for how you grew up and maybe some fundamentals that have, you know, come with you your whole life. What was childhood like for Austen?
Childhood, you know, I'm pretty fortunate. I had a pretty epic childhood. Honestly, pretty normal. Like, grew up in Seattle. Parents were skiers, mountain climbers, outdoors enthusiasts. And then a neighbor kid had a skateboard, and I think it was probably like I was 5 or 6 years old, and got a skateboard for Christmas, and that just like steered my life to where it is now, I think. And then I remember as I got a little older, probably 6 or 7, my dad, he worked for Boeing, and he did the Wednesday night ski race league. So yeah, pretty sick. And so he would go up to the mountain. Like, we never went to the mountain growing up, like by this point. And he would just go up Wednesdays after work, do a ski race. And one day he was getting ready to leave, and I was like, Dad, I want to come with you. And he's like, all right, sweet. Like asked my mom, was like, you want to come up tonight? Like, let's get Austen up there. He really wants to come. Go up in the attic, grab my sister's like old skis, so tiny, dude, like literally a foot, like so small.
Snow blades.
Snow blades. They were probably the same size. And so that night, Wednesday night, 6-year-old little Sweetin goes up, and of course we get on the chair, and like I can't turn, I just go straight, like full speed, and then like explode. And I see the terrain park, and I just force my mom, I'm like, we gotta go, like I've seen this in the magazines, like we need to go. And we go over there, and I just straight up, like I didn't know how to ski, like I could just go straight. I just drop in, point it into the first jump. There's like a jump, and I don't even know what a jump is really at this time, but I just took off the jump, landed directly in between the lip and the knuckle, like on my back. Like complete wind knocked over me, like knocked out of me. My mom's freaking out, and I just like, I think I was like laughing or whatever. And then that night driving home, they were just like, you know, parents like, oh, like, did you like it? Did you have fun? Like all these things. And I was like, yeah, that was sick. But like, did you see the snowboarders? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, I want to do that. And they're like, okay. So then they're just like, asked me if I wanted skis or a snowboard, and I said snowboard. And then I was a weekend warrior. Literally, like we'd ski one day a week, Saturdays usually, until I was probably 15 or 16.
You're joking.
No, like full
weekend warrior. How the hell did you get good?
Like I didn't have a season's pass until I think maybe I was 14 years old. Like even when I got picked up like on the ride rep team, the only season's pass I had was the Mount Baker. You get a free season's pass when you're in 5th grade at Mount Baker. And then after that, I got a Summit at Snoqualmie pass when I was 14, I think, was like the first pass that my family like bought me.
Damn.
And then at that point I was in high school, and I had met like kids in my high school that snowboarded. So then we'd ride, like I'd get rides up with them. And then when I got my license, I would just like, I'd go nightboarding like 2 days a week, and then ride Saturday and Sunday. But yeah, I had like it was like a very normal, you know, like I was a skate rat because I could skate right out of my house and like go down to the elementary school and skate a ledge. But yeah, as far as snowboarding went, it was
And what was like school like? Were you the jock kid? Were you the popular kid? Were you the geek with a bunch of acne? Like what was like did you play like sports? Like,
dude, I played all
aside
the
from
sports.
Sick.
I played my sports, like upbringing's pretty funny. Like, cause I played soccer, baseball, basketball, like 3 seasons of sports. Soccer, I quit when we moved to the big field, like the full length field, because I didn't want to run. Baseball, I quit when they did, I was like in this league. It was like a Seattle league. Like I didn't play for the school. It was like a community league. And then each neighborhood like had a team. And I quit when they did the draft for like, I think it was probably when I was 13. You like bump out of coach pitch to like kid pitch. And I got on a team and the kids were like ruthless to me, dude. Like, cause I was super short. So I'd like come home from practice, like crying, and like mom picked me up and I'm like, everyone's like making fun of me and all these things. Like quit baseball.
That's big though. Like I feel like this is like an important topic because I feel like it's easy to overlook that, but like when you're 13, you're how old you are right now. You're 13, you're living in that moment. And that's like I've been like bullied a few times throughout high school. Luckily, I had a big friend group and I got out of that quickly, but there were a few like times where there was some older people that really gave me a hard time. And it sucks. It's like, dude, it's like hard on your soul. You're just trying to like, I don't know.
It is. And like, dude, honestly, like I went to private school. Like I was like, epic upbringing, most supportive parents, went to a private school, but like, dude, I'm 5'2" now, so I'm pretty short, but like then growing up, obviously I'm the short kid. So like always getting made fun of growing up. And then like that baseball thing happened. And then like I had like 3 really good friends. And like, thanks to them, it was like sweet because
they were your support system.
They were like my support system. And then I actually went to a private high school for 1 semester, and then I got suspended because I was like the skater kid. So of course, like there was like dress code and whatever, like skate t-shirt was never up to code. And then I had like long hair, which was never up to code. And then one of like the science teachers like made me tie my hair in a ponytail like above my head like this. And then of course like the whole class makes fun of me. And then I just like became that kid that like people picked on. And I was like, this sucks, and begged my parents to go to public school. And dude, I got into public school and I was just instantly was like, this is the best thing ever. I was with like cool, like, because it's, I mean, a city. So like people from all different like ethnicities and backgrounds, and like everyone was welcoming and like supportive. And there was the people that played music and the jocks and everything, but people were nice and like really like welcoming. So it was like this crazy upbringing through like private schools of just like getting picked on and like beat down a lot. And then I got into public school and it was just like, I felt like I could finally be Austen. Awesome. Like people don't make fun of me because I'm the kid that's wearing like an S shirt to school and like baggy jeans or whatever was in trend at the time, you know? And just like, I was like, this is sweet. Like people are nice. And it was kind of like a stepping stone for me, almost like that stepping stone I had in snowboarding. Like we talked about, like you're wearing these crazy clothes and you're just trying to like find out where you fit in, but then you like kind of start to find your place and like-minded people, and it's a breath of fresh air because you're like, I can be the truest version of myself, and people don't judge you and they support you.
That's amazing. I love that because I don't remember shit from high school. Like really? Yeah. I was in the jazz band, and
that's the
all my jazz friends were giving me so much. I was like the lead trumpet player in a jazz band, and all my skate friends were like, you can't play jazz, and all my jazz friends were like, you can't skate. And so I was like torn. But anyways, to relate it to the bully thing, I don't remember anything about math or whatever, science, anything. I don't remember that shit. I just don't. And it was not important to me then. And I still don't really care about all of it. I love history. I've always thought that stuff's interesting, but I don't really care about, right angle triangles and stuff like that. I can tell you every single kid, their name, full name, and what their face looked like, and pretty much what the backpack, what they were wearing when they were bullying me. But I don't remember anything from high school. But those names, it's crazy how much of an impact that has. And you don't think it's a big deal, but it's weird that I'm 33 now and I look back all the way back then and I'm like, damn, those kids, like, they kind of fucked me up in a way, like in a good way. It inspired me. I met new people and stuff like that. But like, if you're, dude, yeah, it's crazy that you move into this new school and you kind of get embraced with open arms because there's just so many different people doing their own thing. But when you're with a group collectively that all thinks the same, there's a certain way, there's a certain standard that you should be within that group. You know, there's a certain appeal, like a smart, handsome guy that's in a private school should look like this, and they should talk like this, they should carry themselves like this, and they should be the best at everything that they do. Where a public school is just kind of like, I don't even like school. And people are like, cool, me neither. And some people are like, I love school and math's my world. And other people are like, I love the ukulele or whatever. Yeah. And it's just like, it's all sick. Yeah, I'm down. Public school is tight, dude.
Public school is dope. I'm so jealous that you were in jazz band because
I wish I didn't quit.
I know. Okay, so for me, like going into public school, I was always, because I was like getting picked on and stuff, like through my upbringing school, I always wanted to join band because I play guitar and love guitar. And I was just never, I was like, I can't do it. Like I didn't have the confidence. And I wish I could just go back and be like, join band. Because it's so cool. Because now, like I crave playing music with people. And like when I play with people, it's awesome, you know, but like,
oh yeah, it's amazing.
It's not like an easy thing to do. We travel around, we're always here and there. And then 6 months out of the year, it's nothing. That it's you're just full throttle snowboarding, like up at first thing in the morning to bed, like repeat. So you're not really it's hard to make time to play music, you know.
You bump into a lot of cool people that, like, you know, Jamie Lynn plays the guitar, Mike Rav, or my team manager at K2, Tom Johnson plays like, you know, it's like everybody, like Harry Hagen, like there's lots of people in snowboarding that like music, and it's cool when you bump it. Like Ika plays the guitar. It's like, you know, if you show up with your guitar, someone else might have theirs. And it's kind of nice for me, who doesn't play an instrument, to like sit there, have a beer after a long day of shredding, and some people just kind of jam out and play some nice kind of, you know, some nice tunes.
Dude, so 2 quick ones on that note. There was a very short period of time. So I used to live in a house in Green Lake, Seattle, and it was myself, Sean Lucy, Derek Lever, Mary Rand, and Mark Dangler. And then Aaron Blatt had this studio space in Soto. And then Harry Hagen lived in Seattle. And we had a jam band for like a very short period of time. And Hagen rips on the drums.
I know.
And then Blatt obviously shreds on guitar. And Lucy would fill in with like bass or guitar, and I would play guitar, and like Dangler would come every once in a while and play guitar. But there was a point, like we kind of stopped jamming, and I was just like, click the distortion pedal on and just went like, dun, like a Black Sabbath riff. Harry's at the drum set and he looks at me, and I'm just like, dun, and he just drops in on like the Black Sabbath like drum riff, like knew it by heart. And we jammed. Like at that point in my life, I was just obsessed with Black Sabbath and like knew all the riffs and everything. And we jammed that song. I think it's like NIB or something. And I'll never forget that moment when Harry Hagen, I just saw him down at Hood, and we were like, remember that time we were jamming and we just like played Black Sabbath?
And you're like, yeah, I'll never forget that. That was the shit.
And then fast forward like 8 years, I'm at a 4th of July party at Tanner McCarty's house. Tom Johnson is there. All this like Seattle crew's there. And this dude comes running up to their door, knocks on the door, and we're like, who's at the door? And it's this guy. He's like, hey, I heard somebody playing guitar. I've got a whole band set up like in the back alley. Like, will you guys come play? And we we're like, sure, whatever. So Tom hopped on bass and I hopped on guitar, and we played a 4th of July, like random show. We played for like a half hour, and it was like right across the street from Gasworks Park. And it was all because this guy just had a music band set up with the microphone and everything. I think I was playing guitar in Tanner's living room. We were all there, and he just like knocked on the door because he heard us and was like, you guys got to come play. Like, I've got set up.
I love that you guys took advantage of the opportunity.
I just played
like, we gotta go.
Show.
There's an empty stage. We gotta play.
Yeah.
All right, let's take this to snowboarding again, though.
Sounds great.
You had a bunch of like mini sponsors or whatever, but let's skip those. The weekends paid off clearly. Clearly, you're somewhat talented, because if you're only going Saturday, Sundays, most kids are going boarding when they're obsessed. At least a few more days than that. How the hell did you get on Forum? And going on into you getting on Forum, I mean, like, Forum was the shit then, you know what I mean? They was just, so how did you land yourself on Forum snowboards?
So that happened. There's a couple important pieces to that story, and it all starts at Snoqualmie. That was the mountain I grew up boarding. And the guy that ran the mountain at the time, Crush Palooza, he does Snowboy Productions now. He ran Snoqualmie, and dude, he was so on it. That was when all of like MacDog, People, Videographs, every year these companies are coming and filming park segments. Like Andrew Jeeves had that sick section in a DC video that was filmed there. I think it might have even been in the credits or something. But either way, he was just on it. And then he was always looking out for the Snoqualmie team. And at this point, I had just gotten on sponsored by them. I was probably 16 years old, 15 years old. And every year they did this event called the Holy Oli, where they carved a 30-foot quarter pipe. And during that event, there was a Forum Super Sessions. And at the Holy Oli, Crush was like, I think I've got an opportunity for you. Like, not for sure yet, but something you like, just have your phone on. And I was like, all right. And then Bridges, like Pat Bridges, vouched for me because he knew me through, I'd been to 2 launches by this point, the like youth super parks. And so Crush and Bridges vouched for me to let me come ride with Peter Line. So they essentially, Pete, this is during Forum or Against Them. They were filming for Forum or Against Them. And Pete had designed these 2 features. And what it was like a huge cheese wedge like this. And then it was a hip. So it was offset. So it was like a redirect hip. So it was like a right transfer channel gap redirect. And then the other feature was this huge tube, and everyone was getting broke off. And then I don't know what happened, but like Bridges called me and he's like, hey, we need like be at the bottom of Hyack. There's going to be a sled there. Like, you need to come in, get in on this session with Pete. And so I'm just like losing my mind right now. And I get on there, and Pete's super nice. Like, I'd met him randomly, and obviously like he was kind of my hero. Just he grew up in Seattle, started Forum. I mean, at that point in time, it's like he was king, you know? And so I'm just kind of like trying to stay calm, super nervous, young, just like freaking out. And then we just get in the rhythm of going. And it was just like Pete and Pete was doing these insane methods, like so big. And then I started trying these alley-oop backside threes. And then we finished riding, and Pete was like, yeah, like come up tomorrow and ride. It'll be sweet. And so I come up, and then it was just like, we session this tube, and it was this cool experience where I got to like be involved in this super session shoot that was for Forum. Cause like, I don't know if many people remember those, but they used to be like a big part it'd be a couple page thing in Snowboarder Mag, and it would be like Forum Super Session at Snoqualmie, or like whatever brand at wherever. So I got the chance to get in on that, and then a week later, the team manager of Forum called me and was just like, he's like, the coolest dude is this dude Kevin Keller, and he was just like, "What's up, bro?" And I was like, "Not much." And he's like, "We want you on," like, he was just like, "We want you on Forum. Like, what's your deal? Like, what do we got to do?" And I was
like, I ride on weekends.
I was
do a
like,
little skateboarding.
yeah, pretty much. I was like, well, like, I ride for Ride, but they don't, like, I don't get paid. Like, I'm just on the regional team through the rep, and I like got to go to Super Park once, and he's like, "All right, dude, like, sweet." And I was just kind of like losing my mind, but not knowing what to say because I was so off. I was just like, what happened? And then sure enough, he like called me a couple days later, and they put me on, and I didn't get paid or anything, but they put me on the team, and that they brought me to Hood that summer, and I got to like do a shoot, and then they brought me to the world premiere Forum Against Them, and then that for the next 2 years, I was just the park shoot kid. Like, they had the Forum Youngbloods.
Oh yeah.
And
That's what they
then
do.
so I would just go to park shoots in the spring and get to board and try and film. In the year they were doing Fuck It, they I was working at Snowboard Connection at the time, and the same dude, Kevin Keller, calls me up and he's like, "Hey bro." He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, just closing up the snowboard shop." And he's like, "All right, we need you in Quebec the day after Christmas." And I was like, okay.
Yeah, sure.
Sure, like, sounds great. He's like,
I actually work that day, but
yeah. And he was like, "Stevie's hurt, like, there's an open spot and this is it." And so I like talked to the dudes at SnowCon, and they were like the coolest, most supportive guys, and we're just like, "Oh dude, you have to take this opportunity. Like, go whenever you come back, like, you have a job." So it's like,
yeah, imagine working at a snowboard shop and being like, "I have an opportunity to film with Forum," and a snowboard shop's like, "If you take that opportunity, you're done." You'd be like, "This snowboard shop is fucking whack."
yeah. And so I went on that trip, and I remember leading up to it, I just rode, like, at this point I had my license, so I was like just trying to ride as much as possible. And then when winter break hit, I just went to Snoqualmie every day and just rode rails from sun up to sundown. And like, they had night boarding, so I would even just like grab food at the Pancake House and just ride till they close. And I was like, I need to get good at rails. Like, I've never been on a street trip ever.
Never?
No, like,
Have you ever built like a jump onto like a legit rail or anything at this point?
I mean, we hit when it snowed in Seattle, or
A couple spots.
occasionally. And I mean, I went to Tahoe once and we hit a couple spots, but I'd never gone and filmed in the streets. And so when we showed up, it was, thank goodness for Nick Sauvé, who's just the most dialed dude ever. Like, spot book, like spots, lights, generator.
All French Canadians.
And
They're all like that, dude. They're all so dialed.
dude, they're so dialed. And I just like went into that trip and I was like, I'm gonna do the best I can. Like, I was like, I don't think I've ever worked that hard as I did on that trip. And then they just kind of like kept me in rotation. And I went on another trip later in the winter, I think to New York, but we didn't get any shots. I went on a rail trip with Peter Lyon and John Jackson to Buffalo.
John Jackson, his last rail trip ever?
We went to Buffalo, New York, and you know that there's that like really sick long down bar that's in a park. I think like Justin Benny 2-7'd onto it, and like Daryl maybe did switchback lip or back lip down it. I don't know. It's just like it's down bar. But I went there with John Jay and Peter Line, and I didn't get a clip, but it was
Did either of that? Did John Jay or Peter?
I don't think Peter strapped in, and then I think John Jay like tried to board slide it a couple times. But and
John
then
Jay
they
was
like
sick at both. Well, everyone there
yeah.
is sick at jibbing, but it's also hilarious to think that in 2010 you're going on a rail trip with John Jay, when it's like that. John Jay wasn't really jumping on much steel at that point. He kind of found his ish in the backcountry, and then there's just
Yeah.
Peter. And Peter was filming like really sneaky shit at this time that you must,
Yeah,
that's pretty special to be a part of those last few clips that Peter really filmed that were like, to this day, they could be in any video and stand out as, enders in any video. The hard way 450 onto that flat tube that you kind of mentioned that you were there for the session, like
that was crazy.
like what?
That was
insane.
dude, you should find that. If you know where that clip is, you should put that in one of the Instagram things, because that clip's crazy.
Yeah.
Hard way.
Did you watch it?
I was there sessioning it with him.
Well,
And
give
I
us
was
a little
like the stupidest trick. I think I was trying to do like, I don't know, probably like half cab on, back swivel, cab 3 off or something. I don't know.
Totally. Just like the worst trick. And
like whatever you
the
did in
swivel world.
2007, like
Totally. Yeah, no, that was it. Half cab 50 swivel 360. You nailed it right there. That was a great depiction of tricks at the point.
Man.
Now kids are like nollie no slide pretzel. They're so steep, but
I know tricks right now are so sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of the Forum start. Like it was like thanks to Crush for like kind of talking to Bridges, and then Bridges calling me, and then them just kind of placing me into this shoot. It was those two, I don't think if that, I probably wouldn't have been on Forum if I wasn't at that shoot.
It's the classic, when you're a good person and then your talent meets timing, it just happens to work out. You know what I mean? But clearly people, well, now everybody knows, everybody's a big fan of you and likes you. But back then it's like those things are super important. You know what I mean? There's only a handful of people that someone like Pat Bridges is going to vouch for to get potentially into a park shoot of Forum. Because I feel like Pat's somebody who is held in really high regard, because if Pat says somebody can hang, everyone thinks that person can hang. You don't just Pat doesn't invite people who are going to get hurt at the hip just because he likes them and wants to give them an opportunity, but he kind of knows that they shouldn't be there. You know what I mean? He probably saw something in you or heard something about you, and he was like, this kid deserves an opportunity. And then you freaking seized it. Because how long were you on Forum for?
I think I got on in 2008, 2007. I think that shoot was in 2007, got on in 2008, like that next winter. And then I was on them until the end. Like I remember getting the call from, I'll never forget.
Let's talk about the call. I want to know how you're feeling. Like, let's go through this.
It was a two-part process.
Call.
Forum was based in Irvine. Like Burton owned Forum, obviously, and they had an office in Irvine where Analog and Gravis was out of, and then there was a Forum office right down the street. And so we used to do all our catalog shoots down there. And whatever year it was that they went out, we went down there. First night, we all meet up for dinner, and we like look around, and the table's pretty small. And they're like, all right, guys, like some things happened. This is the new Forum. And they had like a couple people went to Burton, some other people went other places, and I don't know any of the reasoning or anything, but things got moved around, and they had this like tight little squad. And they're like, we're like rebranding, we're gonna make a huge push. So we spent a month doing this whole campaign shoot, all these things. And I get home, and a week later, the head dude he texts me at like 8 p.m, and he was just like, hey, are you around tomorrow? Like, I need to catch up with you about a couple things. I'm like, yeah, I'm hanging. Hit me up whenever. And I was under the impression he was calling me because he was the guy I dealt with, like, like at this point I was gonna get like a contract. And I just figured, like, this is it. This is the final contract conversation. It's October, like winter's gonna kick off. This is gonna be sweet. We're filming another video. And next morning he calls me and he's like, yeah, so I'm calling because Forum is no longer. And he kind of like broke it down to me, but I mean, to this day, I still don't really know the whole story. I don't think many people do, but yeah, it was just kind of like, it didn't feel real because we had just spent a month in Huntington Beach doing a huge campaign, team bonding, like we were filming another video. And then to get this call that the company is no longer, I was like, what? How is, and I'm
You almost
21
want
at
to
the time.
interrupt them and say like, excuse me,
I'm
sir,
like,
like you're out of the loop actually. Like, no, we're making a team movie. We just did a
yeah,
catalog shoot. Like, I think you've been misinformed. And he's like, no, like, I'm the
yeah.
boss. You're done.
So it was, but it was sweet. They like, I mean, it wasn't sweet that they ended, but they gave us severance packages, and it wasn't a lot, but it was like, I got a couple grand and I was like, this is sick. Like, I mean, I've never gotten a severance package since, but you know, probably will
Gotta
never
write
get
that
another
into
one.
your Quiksilver contract.
But it was like enough money to, I mean, at that point in time, I'm paying like $250 at rent, like in a house that I live with a bunch of people. And like, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's bills
you
right
know, I'm a
there.
21-year-old kid. Like, I don't have expenses. So it was like a couple grand that he was like, this should get you like through 4 months of living. I was like, sweet.
I love how snowboarders think, eh? You get a paycheck when you're an addicted snowboarder and you're like, perfect, I can snowboard for, and then all that money is a calculation of how long you can snowboard without working for. You're like,
Yeah.
$3,000 can keep me around for, 6 months. It's full season. Good.
Yeah. And then I just like kind of, it took a bit to process. I didn't know at this point, you know, I'd been with Forum, and it was they had their program and it was dialed, because they made a movie every year. You had a team manager, you had staff photographers and videographers. So everything, like all that you're really doing besides snowboarding is like, the snow's good in Tahoe, we should go there. And they're like, yep. And
Totally. It's
it
dialed.
was, you know,
It's an
like,
engine.
and
And you're
so
just sitting along as a rider, the talent, and you're just doing, it's basically like you're kind of like a hockey player or like a NBA
yeah,
player. And you're like, you're just told which stop you're going to play against whatever team or, feature. And you're going to go ride that terrain and we're going to send you there. It's Jeeves, even on DC, same thing. Or like Burton at that time was the
yeah,
same thing. It was like when you were on those big brands, it was just like, they have the staff photog, they have everything dialed, and you're on tour to Forum for 4 years. You know what I
yeah.
mean? You're like, yeah,
So
dang.
that was like a hard thing to process. And it wasn't easy because also being part of that, in a way, like, I felt secluded from like other parts of the snowboard industry, because like, for better or for worse, people are always like, oh, it's this crew or it's this crew. And I think when I was trying to find sponsors, it was hard because Forum worked as such a package that I hadn't like grown or developed other relationships in different areas of snowboarding because I was head to toe. And so trying to find this place that I fit in, and then also under the assumption that like people were like, oh, well, we can't pay you, like you rode for Forum. And I was like, well, dude, I didn't, it's not like I made a bunch of money, like $800 a month or whatever it was.
Really? I thought you were like, if somebody asked me how much you were making, then I would have been like, 3-4 grand a month.
Oh, I wish.
That, dude, you did the biggest front three ever. That park shoot, that front three that's worth 30 grand right there.
I mean, I think the last year I was on, I was making 2 grand a month.
Can we talk about that front three for a second? That massive one that you do at Sun Valley, that front three, and Tim Pierce shot that photo fisheye from like it. You guinea pig that, if I'm correct, right? Can you kind of take us through why the hell you hit that?
So
the Mads
I
Johnson
developed
shit.
a nickname, like my nickname on, not like nickname, but I was the guinea pig. Like at all the park shoots, I don't know, and I'll get more into this, but at every park shoot, I was just the guinea pig. And it went to that mentality because I wasn't crazy. I'm not a crazy jumper. Like I grew up at Snoqualmie, the jumps are tiny. So it's like, what do I have to offer? I'm like, I got to go big. Like that's what I have to offer. And so I would just like guinea pig the jump. And then I would just like try and get people stoked. Just be like, dude, let's hit this jump. Let's hit this jump. It's sick. And then people would like get stoked and start hitting it. And then once they started doing crazy stuff, I would like try and keep up. And like, that's when I would feel like I could step out of my boundary and be like, this is an opportunity to progress, because I don't get to ride with dude like all the craziest, like Alec Ostring, being on a park shoot with him, highlight. Like he is the best, one of the best snowboarders in the world.
I think so too. I love that you mentioned that.
We're at park shoots and it was like, he's a machine. But either way, so we're at Sun Valley. No one wants to hit this jump. It's a humongous jump. It was like 110 to the knuckle. And
you're like, thanks, Forum.
And I'm like, dude, I want to hit this jump. I was like, Kevin Keller, team manager, I was like, dude, let's do this. Like, let's go hit this jump. And so we went up there. I was solo. And we start doing speed checks. Kurt Heine and Tim Pierre and the Rocks. And I'm just like, how does it look? Like, is that good? Like, and so this jump was in a goalie, and then there was the cat track that was however far up where it's like you think you needed to start. And then I had like this skinny piece of snow like through the rocks, like up on this hill that I was starting on. So I'd like drop in, like kind of air the cat track and just full on tuck. And the first hit, they were like, yeah, that's the speed. That's the speed. So I'm like, all right, sweet. I'm going for it. First hit just cleared the whole, like, I wish I could find the shot of it. Cause I just like cleared the whole landing, dude, and just exploded. And then finally got the speed dialed. And I was like, maybe 2 hits later, I was like, all right, I'm going to back 7 this thing. And go back 7 nose, come over the knuckle, realize how high in the air I still am. And I'm just like, oh no, open up, go 90 degrees. So like back, whatever's between 720 and 900, and just like, dude, full back scorpion tomahawk, like picture worst tomahawk in the backcountry inserted onto park jump. And that was me going down this landing.
How did they not use that overshot, the overshoot, and the back like 800 edge catch with that front 3? Because the front, I mean, maybe they just wanted to, emphasis on the front 3 and not show the slams or whatever. But that sounds gnarly though. Like, because that jump is massive. You said 120 to the knuckle.
I think it was like 1 or 110 to the knuckle.
So your overshoot was like 170.
It's probably like 150, but like, I don't know. It was somewhere, it was just too big.
You're and like, then, bro, it's not that big. It's only 150 feet.
And so then like that night, we get back, and then there was this kid that rode for Forum at the time, Mario Capelli.
Remember him?
Really talented snowboarder. And we were buddy. I was like, dude, let's hit this jump. It's sick. Like, I've got the speed dialed at this point. Didn't have the speed dialed, but I was just like, I didn't want to hit it by myself. And he's down. So then the next day, we actually had a really sick session. And that's when I got the front three. And then I tried some other stuff, but I don't think like, it was just like too big of a jump for me at that time. And I couldn't figure out how to spin and land.
Yeah, I mean, when you're going 130 feet.
Yeah. So like a front three, I just remember taking off and I was like, do nothing. Just like do a straight air and grab front side. And then it just kind of happened. And then I was trying front sevens or front, like whatever it was, like front nine or whatever, and just never I couldn't get it, dude. I was just like in the air. I couldn't figure it out because my air awareness was not developed.
Yeah, because no one else got any clips on that jump, right?
Dude, Mario Capelli front 10'd it.
Oh, is it in the movie?
It is. It's like a shot, which is crazy because I'm like, it gets overlooked.
For sure. I don't even remember it. But when your front three comes into my, like when I think of massive front threes on park jumps, you know, I'm like, all right, like Kurt Wastel, Travis Wright, Austen Sweetin.
Yeah. But there was a really sick jump right after it. It was 2 takeoffs with a landing in the middle. And the whole week before we were sessioning and filming on that jump, below it, and we were hitting the knuckle as a tabletop, and you could like float front sevens over the knuckle easy, like of that jump. It was like the funnest tabletop I've ever hit. Just
so what's going on in your head after you get, you know, Forum comes to an end and you got a couple months, you know what I mean, before everything's kind of rolling? Like, are you like, oh, it's over? Or you're like, I have to make this happen? Do you want it? Are you searching for new sponsors? Like, what's kind of your headspace when inevitably you're on like one of the biggest brands in snowboarding, and now and like you mentioned earlier, you're also, when you ride for a brand that's that big head to toe, you're not only are labeled with them, but that's also your crew, the people you've been filming with. So as you mentioned earlier, you know, a lot of the contacts, friendships, and relationships that you would have built throughout the industry if you ride for a bunch of different brands is no longer there. Is also kind of a hindrance. Yeah,
so that was hard. And I had some interest, but nothing crazy. After about a month, they were like, okay, we're doing a rebrand at Analog.
I remember, yeah.
So we're just gonna like move you to Analog. And it was cool. It really helped me because it was 3 years of like stability and support, but it was also hard as well because that first year was really sick. They put a lot of energy into it. They invested in the team. We did like a team trip. We went to Burlington. We went to like Jake's Fall Bash, and it was really cool. But then for the following 2 years, I had like a 2-year contract with an optional third. It was like, dude, the second 2 years, it was no communication or anything. So then I'm just like on this company, but we're not doing much. And so then that was kind of weird. And then I remember I got like the message from like a guy like, hey, like, you around tomorrow? Like, got to talk to you. And at that point I was like, I know what this is.
I'm prepared now, motherfucker.
And he calls me, he's like, yeah, so like Analog's done and all these things. And at that point, dude, I was like full career change. I was like, what am I gonna do to make money? Like,
what came into your head? What kind of jobs kind of like, are you like,
dude,
I could be a welder?
No, I wanted to do like photojournalism.
Cool.
Like, into photography, not that great of a writer, but enjoy it. But at that point in time, I was like, this is like, I want to do this. Like, I think this is something I could like, maybe I can like pick up some work, freelance. I had friends that work different places. I was like, maybe I can make this work. Didn't really work out. And then winter comes along and I was like, this is it. Like, I'm going full throttle and I'm either coming out the other end as a professional snowboarder, or I'm gonna have to like figure something else out. I'm always gonna snowboard, but like maybe it's not a reality to keep doing it. And I filmed that year with Absinthe, and Analog had like bought me in before they like, I don't know what happened. I think they like bought me in before they ended the program or something. But I filmed that year, self-funded a video part. And that was the year I ended up getting Ender. And then that June is like when I got on Quiksilver.
Dang.
And then right after that, I got on Lib Tech. And then it kind of like was another chapter of my snowboard career. But yeah, I remember that winter. That was the winter I didn't drink. I didn't drink. I was in like not a good relationship, like ended a relationship, and I was just like, this is it. I'm going full throttle. And I filmed with Hosnick every day. Like we went out, we were staying in the basement of Chad Chomlick's house and just went out every day, no matter what. It was like Manuel Diaz, Justin, and I.
Wow.
And drove to Alaska with my snowmobile, like funded the whole winter. I just like, I'm investing into my career and I hope I come out the other end.
That's badass, dude. Like, I feel like I don't know, but there's a lot of kids. I feel like they film like a video part or two and then they want the big budget and they feel like they're deserving of it. And in some cases they are, but it doesn't mean that they shouldn't do what you just did. You know, you were on a bunch of smaller brands, then you were on Forum for 5 years, and then it ended and you were like, I either continue and invest in myself and a future in snowboarding, or I complain and I wrap this up because it's not, how it should be. Because I think a lot of people would have taken the easy route out, which would be the path of least resistance, which would be to just complain about your situation. But instead you were like, well, the only person who can change the situation is me. I don't have any money. It's December. The only opportunity I have is Analog bought me into this movie, and I'm going to try and capitalize on what I do have, which is a video part, which I have no budget for, but I'm going to invest in myself. So I think that was a solid play. You know what I mean? If you've already invested such a big portion of your life into it, what's one more year and $15,000 in debt to say I gave it my all and now I'm moving on? And then you could live with no regret too. You could be like, instead of the woulda, coulda, shoulda, and then you're exactly a product of that. You're the successful outcome of investing in yourself.
And I think,
which must feel rad.
Dude, it feels rad. And I think another important piece to that story too was like, I love snowboarding, dude. Like, I'm going to be boarding the rest of my life.
Same, dude, right there with you. Border
like,
for life.
When you're 20, even now, like 30, obviously, as you get a little bit older, you have more things to lose. Obviously, just that's life. You like grow and responsibilities grow, you grow up. But at 24, 25, I was like, I'm like, I want to go snowboarding. Either I make it out and I'm going to be a professional snowboarder, or I make it out and I literally just had the best season of my life, because I got to empty my bank account into the thing that I love to do the most. And I think back to that winter a lot on days, because too, like when you're filming, there's days you don't want to go out. It's
100%.
gray bird, it's cold, it's wet snow, it's whatever the you're tired from building a jump. Like we all have our reasons, but I'm always like, I always think back to that winter and be like, dude, you came out. Like, what do you have to lose today? Like, it's Graybird. Like, you're with your friends. Like, okay, if you're physically tired, take a break. You need to let your body replenish. But a lot of times I catch myself like, what else am I going to do today? Like, I might as well try. And I always like
Totally.
think back because eventually there's going to be a day where I can't go out and try. So
Was sorry to interrupt you there,
yeah,
but so the video, so you film for Absinthe all year. Analog buys you in, you have a phenomenal season, you end the video. Which video was that again? That was
After Forever.
and so you end the movie.
Yeah.
What was it like what emotionally to yourself, like what did that feel like when you got ender of that movie for you? Like you that must have been like, looking back, that must be like a trip. Like damn, like
I mean,
you got you got the best outcome possible of that year would be to be in the Absinthe movie and then to end it, you know? Wow.
yeah, dude, I mean, honestly, I broke down. Like, I didn't know I had the ender. Justin is like, I think he knew how much it meant. Maybe I don't know. I don't know like what Justin truly thought, but he was like my support system that year. Like I lived at his house. We carpooled with his double place. Like I had my snowmobile and my truck, and he had a trailer, and we just like hooked his trailer up to my truck that winter and carpooled all winter. So he was like my support system, and he just, he like had my back. And he's like, I think you're gonna be like, I think you're gonna be stoked. But he never said it. And then I didn't know, and we're in Seattle at the premiere. And dude, I'm like sitting there kind of stressing out. And I'm just like, dude, my part like hasn't come up. It's like everybody's part. And then I'm like all like co-card's part. And I was like, that was insane. Like,
Yeah, that part was
yeah,
insane.
I'm just like kind of like losing my mind. And then all of a sudden, like the Kyaku Miyogu, I forget the song, but it like comes on, and I just like ran through my head, and I was like, dude, like everyone's, it was like, no way. And like Seattle has like a really strong snowboard presence. And like I grew up there and like spent my whole life there. So there's like, I felt the support, and I just like, I started crying. I just was like so happy, dude. I was like, I just broke down, and I was like, this feeling that I have right now is worth everything. Like, this is one of those feelings that I will never forget. Like, that year, just I investing into myself and spending it with supportive people that they wanted the same outcome for themselves, and we were in it together. And then I just like all those emotions like just started pouring out.
How
And then
powerful is that? Just to like have, I think a big part of that is, yeah, you believing in yourself and taking a shot, but I don't think we can overlook the fact that you moved in with Justin Hosnick, who's made snowboard videos forever, and he kind of takes you under his wing and a little bit of like a mentor, like you got this. And then I'm sure like there's lots of outcomes for that movie, but I don't know, like you ending that movie and what you needed to continue snowboarding was the ender. And but you also deserved it and everything like that. But like, wow, like what a year for all those pieces to come together. Because who knows what you'd be doing right now if you sat in the middle of that movie.
yeah, I mean, that was like what got me on Quiksilver, that video part. And I think if there's one thing that, I always try and like express it to anybody, but if there's something that you like to do and that you're passionate about, like don't be scared to invest in yourself. Because at the end of the day, like I feel like you need to believe in yourself and like invest energy in whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's snowboarding or music or whatever, but just like invest into yourself. And sometimes it doesn't even take money. Sometimes it's like investing in like maintaining healthy relationships with friends to like keep your mindset clear, like investing in like taking care of your body or your diet or whatever it is, just so you're stoked like that. Like you can't be scared to invest in yourself, because dude, like you can't expect anyone else to invest in you, you know? It's like you got to take care of yourself. And
Totally.
sometimes, you know, it takes going into credit card debt to like find the answer you're looking for, or at least give it a shot. Because if you didn't take the shot, you know, you could be like, well, at least I tried. You can't be mad at trying, because I failed at a lot of stuff, you know, like
Totally. So that was amazing.
like so
I couldn't agree more. I mean, a lot of things that I've gotten in my life are from me being like, or perseverance is a big thing. I used to do Taekwondo when I was a kid, and I had a big mentor there, our instructor. And I think he was probably one of my first like big mentors where I'm like, he doesn't have it all figured out. He's not perfect by any means, but he had so much discipline for like what he needed to achieve and what you needed to do. And yeah, I always felt like if I have discipline and, you know, then I don't know. And if I have some discipline mixed with passion, it's like pretty unstoppable. Like if you really want something and then you're disciplined, like at least you have some pretty solid tools to potentially reach the best outcome for yourself. And if you do fail, which I mean, we all do, I guess the only answer at one point is to be kind of logical about the situation. But like you said, it's better to have taken the chance than to have never taken it at all and sit there and be like, well, woulda, coulda, shoulda, didn't. But the cool thing about this, if you're listening to this right now and you're like, damn, I wish I would have taken a shot like Austen to be a pro snowboarder, there's going to be another shot in your life later in life, like at 30, 35, 40, that's like 50, that there's another opportunity that might not even be in snowboarding, but it's worthwhile to take the shot at that. You know what I mean? Maybe you're a really good cook and you hate your job and you should start a restaurant. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why not? Like,
I know, right?
After these last 2 years and how insane they've been, take a gamble on yourself.
Yeah. More people need to, yeah.
Okay, so this visit, I just a quick one here though.
Yeah.
Because we got some other amazing stuff that I really want to touch base on. You do sign with Yes for a short period of time, like 3 years or something like that. It starts and it ends. How to take us through the starting and kind of ending with Yes and how that developed into your new sponsor, Lib Tech.
So yeah, when Forum ended, you have categories you need to fill. And I reached out to a lot of snowboard brands. I was really trying to get a board sponsor.
Who would have been, before you go on, I'm sorry for interrupting, but I want to know who would have been your number one pick at that time?
At that time, you know, I had a meeting with K2.
Cool.
And I think that could have been sweet, but it didn't work out.
Okay, sorry.
But
I just wanted to know, just
at that point,
as a snowboard nerd
it was
myself.
Like K2 and Mervin
were
the two that I wanted. And like, I reached out to Capita, but that was, I don't know. I was just trying to figure out like where I fit in. I kind of felt like an outcast, and I was like, I need to figure out where I fit in. And anyways, the Yes thing came about. I was really hesitant about it. And I was just like trying, and I couldn't find a sponsor. And, you know, like I really like DCP, and he like presented this opportunity, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go for it. And I did. It was sweet, but it never filled what I was searching for. I was craving community. I was craving a team. I was like a crew. Like snowboarding with your friends it's the best. And like I still to this day, like I admire like you and the Man Boys, because you guys have a crew. And you know, it's like you always have someone that's got your back. Like, dude, the dust box, like all the crews, like the Vans crew is a great example. It's just like strong snowboard community. And I had that with Forum, but then I didn't have it, and I was craving that. And with Yes, I just, that wasn't there for me. Those guys are awesome, David and Romaine, but I felt like I needed a team, you know?
Totally.
And it's not like, it's, maybe it sounds wrong or whatever, but it's like they're at a different chapter in their lives. And they're like that next generation above, and I was like craving like someone that I could just, a team I could like go out, film with, like hit up any day, be like, hey, like let's go, like it's good in Whistler, it's good at Baker, wherever. And so I started to ask myself, like, what do I want? And I've always been a fan of Mervyn. I mean, born, like we all love the places that we grow up, more or less, or at least I love Seattle. I grew up there, I spent the majority of my life there. And Mervyn being there, like in the backyard, and like Jamie Lynn, like grew up in Auburn, like the face of Mervyn, just like he's like a Washington kid. He like grew up filming in all these videos. And I love that they were just like weird and out there and experimental. And I love that their boards were built right there in Washington. And I was just like, you know what? This is it. I'm going for it. I was living with Dave Marks at the time, and I was like, dude, I want to ride for Lib. What do I have to do? And he's like, dude, it'd be so sweet. Like, we got to get you on there. Like, everyone's down. They want you on the team, but like the timing's not right. And this was going on for 3 years. And I'd be skating the bowl at Green Lake with Pete Sari, and like skating curves with Bertner. And I would like meet up with them at lunch at the office and like skate the mini ramp in there because I was friends with all of them. And I just like, I don't know, I just was like, this is it. And then it just, all the stars kind of aligned, whether it was just me hanging out with them long enough and like
Totally.
being around the office, and
Friendships mean things in world, dude. If you can help out your friend and you're also an amazing snowboarder, it's a win-win.
But yeah, and then with that, it was like, dude, I got on, and then we did a team trip to the Holy Bowly, and I was like, this is what I've been looking for. You know, like the team was there. It was like Forrest Bailey was there, Tucker Andrews was there, like Jamie Lynn, like Ted Reese, everybody was there, and we had this like team. And that's what I was kind of like, this is what I was looking for, you know?
Just like, I know what you're saying. I
yeah,
love what you're saying.
We
dude.
all like,
it's the vibes, dude. You want to get in the
vibe.
RV with all the homies and have the new young gun and the old head there, and someone puts their phone on and they have shitty music and everyone makes fun of each other, and you stop at a gas station, fucking jokes for days, couple beers, couple smokes. That's what you're looking for.
But yeah, that was like, yeah, and it just kind of, just kept poking them. Like,
it made sense. it made sense too. That transition I thought was really suiting for your riding, especially as where your riding has come from the start of that sign to now. It's like, yeah, you such a good fit. Lib, you guys look like a match made in heaven. I wanted to touch base because I know that you've hung out there a bunch. You've spent a lot of time at Baldface. Yes. What makes that place so special to you and the individuals that run it? Jeff Pinciero, Buff. I mean, you Miller flipped the Craig Kelly cross. Like, what does Baldface mean to you, and why is it so special?
I mean, Baldface to me means, it's so many. It doesn't mean one thing. It's got like a very special place in my heart. It's, to me, it's snowboarding, and there's like another face of Baldface, and that is like, to me, being a backcountry snowboarder, it's like the essence of snowboarding. Like, we've done the avalanche courses, and you're just at this lodge in the mountains with these people that are all so happy to be there and so stoked to just like share this space and hang out and go snowboarding. It's just like, Jeff is the best. Like, Jeff and Paula Pensiero are so good at bringing people together and creating like a just welcoming space. And I just, yeah, I like went there on a trip with DCP. Actually, he invited me on a trip up there, and then on that trip, Jeff was like, hey, there's going to be some people like Ben Ferguson and a bunch of people are coming up, like it'd be cool if you could stay, like we can work it out, like so you can stay. So he like gave me like an insane deal to stay and like helped me out. And then I got to like board with Bridges and like Ben Ferguson. And this is all the year that I'm like trying to get on. This is the year I'm filming that part that I invested like in. And then Jeff was just like, he's become like such a good friend and like always has my back. And then he was just like, hey, there's this trip coming up. Like, I heard you're talking to Quiksilver. And he's like, Travis is going to be up here, and like Todd Richards. He's like, come up to the lodge. And so he like let me like work. He's like, we'll work it out. Like, get me, like brought me up to the lodge, and I got to ride with like Travis and like kind of like, dude, like complete spoiled, like hearing myself just talk about this. I'm
Ben
like, oh.
Ferg for a little bit, DCP
But
for a
it was
little
like,
bit.
you know,
No, you're
like I
paying
wasn't
for
up
this
there.
dude out of
Yeah.
pocket.
He
I think
was
this
like,
is
you can eat
sick.
like staff meals and help out around the lodge. And he just like, I don't know what he saw in me or what, but, and then that year we were like, dude, we should, I was filming with Justin and we're like, we should Miller flip. Like, we should see if we can Miller flip the Craig cross, like in honor of Craig Kelly. Like, that would be like the ultimate dream to do. And we pitched it to Jeff and he was down. So we went up for the day, complete snowstorm, dude. And this is on Craig Kelly Day. Complete snowstorm. We build it. Can't see anything. We're like, we'll go to the lodge, we'll have a coffee. And like when you're sitting at the like the coffee bar that overlooks like the entrance to the lodge, you can see the cross up there. And we're like drinking a coffee, and evening comes around, and all of a sudden the storm breaks and there's like blue sky, and it's just like the clouds are parting. And I'm like, Jeff, it's game time. It's like the light's gonna be insane. And we like rush up there. Jeff's got this like sweet ear, like fur hat on with like ear flaps and these like shades. And he's just like, yo, like fires up the sled, like towing me in like mock chicken, just so fast. But like the clouds parted and we were like, it's time. And dude, the sun was going down on one side of the ridge and the moon was coming up on the other side of the ridge. And it was Garrett Warnick and I sessioned it together. And it was like, we sessioned it. We each got our clip, like a couple tries each. And then the clouds just like, it's like sun started to set, and it was just this moment of like beauty of Mother Nature and snowboarding. And then we like went down that next morning. But yeah, it was like a little strike mission up to do that. But yeah, to me, Baldface, and it's also where I met Robin. It's like where I proposed to Robin. It's yeah, it's love. That's what, it's love for snowboarding. It's love for friendship, community. I like, they're really good at bringing people together, and you can tell by the people that work there too.
Totally.
It's like the vibes are high, and like with the Avi clinics that they put on, where they're like you know, they bring the snowboarding community together because they are trying to look out for everyone that's filming in the back. They like don't want people to get, you know, they want people to make the right decisions and be prepared for the winter, like in navigating avalanche terrain and first aid and evacuation. So they like bring the community together and be like, hey, we're going to teach you guys like how to properly manage avalanche terrain and like do group scenarios. It's like, okay, like Jody's hitting the jump. Austen, you're like at the drop in, filmers here. Okay, Jody hits the jump, landing slides, like go. You know, they like place real life situations. And I think you can just like tell that they love snowboarding and the community and they're trying to make it a better place.
Yeah, there's a lot to dissect there, but yeah, the premise of it is no, I'm glad that we got to shine some light on this amazing place that to me is like a part of snowboarding. It's just like a part of the soul, you know what I mean? They're like, people go there with a common interest to experience snowboarding in a beautiful place with like-minded individuals. And I think a lot of people, when you leave that, it makes you like snowboarding more, the history of snow. You learn more about the history. You got the boards all over the walls. It's a snowboarders. Yeah. It's where snowboarders should spend their hard-earned money to go and enjoy snowboarding with other snowboarders. So if you've never been, I highly recommend spending the money this winter and going there and just enjoying a place that is truly made for snowboarders to share a common experience of just the love for the boarding, because it's a good time. And who else do you want your money to go to other than Jeff, that's been bringing the community together for what seems like decades upon decades. And I mean, and even just going up there and experiencing people who actually knew Craig Kelly firsthand, it's just like super, I don't know, it's a magical place.
I mean, hearing Buff talk about like his time with Craig and all that, it's
legendary.
You just like sit back and you're like, tell me more. Like, what was it like?
Oh,
and then,
okay.
Yeah, walking around, it's a snowboard museum, like all the coolest old boards, just
the best boards. Not a lot of rail boards. And on the topic of rails, why did you used to do a lot? Why the transition from rails permanently to powder Austen?
I think, you know, I grew up riding the mountain. And like I said, I didn't go on my first rail trip until I was on Forum. And I don't know, I love being in the mountains. And I kind of found that that's where I'm the most stoked to spend my time in the winter. Like I really like traveling through the mountains, like finding natural features. Like I like going fast. I like to
catch,
you do. I like to catch it. You know, like I like to do, like I'm a huge fan. Like my favorite thing to do is like just a top to bottom run. Like chair 5, Mount Baker, just T to B. Oh, I'm like juiced on that, dude.
I could tell by your smile right now. We still got a couple months to go.
I know, and then dude, like Whistler too, like those days you get from like the top of Peak all the way to Creekside. Like when I lived with Robin there a couple years, I was like, okay, like how do you ride from there to there without stopping?
Yeah, it's like a hour run, leg burner. Like, yeah, you definitely want to stop and bring a couple.
And I really like, I enjoy street riding. I felt like I got to a point almost, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Like I got to a point where I wanted to put like my effort and my risk into a different aspect. Like I kind of like I got to a point where I was like, I'm gonna have to start like really upping my street game, and I like didn't have the mental headspace to do that, but I had the mental headspace to like keep taking chances in the mountains. and pushing that aspect of my snowboarding. But that being said, I like kind of want to go on a street trip. And I still like jib in the park. Like I love, you know, like at Holy Bowly, like I love hitting rails. Like when I'm riding the mountain, it's like the one, like my one complaint about Baker is they don't have a park. Like I'm trying, like those days I spent with you like 2 years ago, when we were just ripping Blackcomb Park. Like,
Oh, I
dude,
remember.
it's so fun. Like I love jibbing. It's sick.
Yeah, I
But
love
I
riding
just
rails.
like life choices, and yeah, and I ended up at a place I love, and it kind of sucks they don't have a park, but they make up for it in other aspects.
I'm kind of similar. I
But
definitely want to get on more steel. I wanted to film a lot more rails over the last couple of years, but I just haven't been able to do that just due to a variety of reasons. But fuck,
yeah,
yeah, it'd be cool to see you hit some steel too. Just
dude, I would
because
like.
I mean, I think that your approach to snowboarding is so different than it would have been when you were filming for Forum, or like when you were riding for Yes and filming for the Transworld movies, or even Absinthe at that, and now transferring into filming primarily for Quiksilver movies with Sean Lucy, who they've been absolutely amazing. And I mean, that's been a really cool opportunity in itself, is how much Quiksilver has been investing in making these like cool films and allowing you to collaborate with a filmer who sees eye to eye with you, and I think does a really good job at capturing your snowboarding. Something before we maybe dive into filming with Lucy on these awesome projects is you've got an opportunity to film with Travis Rice. I think that he's obviously a super inspiring individual from just watching his snowboarding, but I know so many friends, from Ejack to John Jay to Chris Rasman to, I mean, yourself, and the list goes on and on. When you get an opportunity to ride with him, he just elevates your riding. And I just wanted you to maybe touch base on like, what is it like to film with Travis Rice?
It's intense. Just gonna throw that's because then I like, if I just get that out of the way, I can speak comfortably. It's like
intense.
it's intense.
Intense fun or intense stressful, or like
Both.
I like that.
Travis is a pioneer. You know, he's good at making big things, as we all know, like from his films and the natural selection. So filming with him, like he's so dialed and he knows what he wants, and he will go to like he'll go the distance to get what he wants. And sometimes it's like it's intense, but he, you know, like riding with him as a really competitive person, not a competitive snowboarder, because done like one contest in the past 10 years, but I'm like a really competitive person. So when I get to ride with Travis, for me, it's like I look at it as like a really good opportunity, because I can feed off of his energy and like his skill and his knowledge of the mountains, of like taking freestyle snowboarding to these humongous mountains that are like crazy, with so many pillows and like huge death drops on one side, and then it goes into like a spine, but then you have to like, yeah, do all like the most technical big mountain riding. So
100%.
you're like watching him, and then you're like, okay, it's like one of those things where you're like, that's doable. And it's kind of like sometimes you see something, it just takes like someone else, like it takes, how do you say it, like sometimes you just need to see someone else break the barrier to see what's possible. So
Totally.
you can like see, you're like, whoa, like that's possible to do like a back three and do a pillow line, and then ride for 1,000 feet, and then like do a method, and then do all this, and you're like, it's like video games. So riding with him, it's really eye-opening, and it's really motivating, because it allows you, or allows me, it's allowed me to push my snowboarding to levels that I've wanted to push it to, but maybe just needed, I don't have all the moving parts to get myself to certain places, but he has those. And then when he invited, we did the Quiksilver movie. That was like Travis, he had that terrain picked out from years ago. Like he knew the range and he knew that this mountain range was like super special and like super featured, just pillows on pillows on pillows. And he had the vision to go there and dissect it. And luckily for Brian and Robin and I, it was a Quiksilver project. So when it came to the crew, it was a Quiksilver crew. And we got to like be a part of that. Because dude, I don't know how I would have found that terrain like in Galena where we filmed it. So but it's intense in the sense that like like he won't give up. So if like a guide is telling him like, hey man, I don't know if we can land there, he's like, no, we can land there. Like he's, he'll find a way to make it work. So it gets intense, but it's like he's so dialed that like I would be nervous about a run and he would help break it down and he'd be like, Austin, like, dude, that's like, just do this. Like, look at the line like this. Don't worry about all that. He's like, you're snowboarding right there. And then you'd be like, oh yeah, sometimes you just gotta like put the blinders on and you realize the thing that you're riding isn't maybe that gnarly. And like you're perfectly capable of riding it. It just seems crazy because there's huge cliffs over here, but realistically, like it'd be like impossible to get over there.
Totally.
So he's just so knowledgeable about big mountains and terrain and that aspect that he was like a mentor in a sense to see, that helped me a lot moving forward, because now going into zones, like just picking his brain over those couple weeks we filmed together gave me a few key skills to like move forward.
I mean, I can only imagine that he's given everybody in anyone who snowboards has walked away with some skills from Travis. Even if you ride rails, just the progression of snowboarding when he filmed his movies just went in a new direction of everybody being like, the bar has been raised so high and nobody was remotely that good at riding backcountry or even had the stamina to be able to extract out that much footage throughout 1 or 2 or 3 given years. Like you're talking about like a 20-minute timeline of the most innovative, progressive snowboarding ever done. And most snowboarders, myself included, struggle to put together a 3-minute video part. I mean, mind you, he does have endless budget and stuff, but he also is the most deserving person of the endless budget because he will use all that in a way to be as productive as possible in the progression of snowboarding. And you take that into his event now, which you were a part of. Take us through how exciting it was to be a part of what I would say one of the coolest events to ever happen in snowboarding in a long time. And I think it really brings the backcountry community together in a cool way. And it was really inspiring as a backcountry snowboarder to watch this event and watch my favorite snowboarders get to ride in this new event that is competitive, but everybody, when you get to the bottom, look like they're having like a pretty good time. Minus, Travis and Rasmus looked like they gave each other a little bit of a hard time. It looked like that was a little bit intense, but take us through dropping in first and setting the pace for the whole natural selection, because you crushed it.
Thanks.
I mean, you got a little too juiced up on the front 3 at the bottom, but
a little too juiced at the bottom. But I mean, well, first of all, like to the natural selection and that event, as like kind of like as you were saying, like even though I was a part of that event, I was also like a huge fan because I love watching snowboarding and I love watching the X Games and even the Olympics. But being able to watch, like even going back and watching, like rewatching the live feed of the Natty selection, dude, it's sick because we're like backcountry boarders. So you're getting to watch like your aspect of snowboarding, but in a competition, like a competitive format.
Totally.
It's sick because you're just like, okay, like what is Mark McMorris gonna do? And like what is like, and then Gigi's there, and you're like, dude, Gigi, like 9191 is one of my favorite movies, and I gotta drop in right after Gigi. And like I love Gigi. He's like one of my favorite snowboarders, but I also like, and at the top, like, I hope you fall. And like, like I want to beat you because, you know, like this is a contest. But then you're just like, when you go back and watch it, it's sweet because you never get to see this style of snowboarding in a competitive environment. And it was really cool to see how it played out. Especially from like qualification day to the finals day. How like people were kind of like, it was kind of like easy, not easy going, but like people were, you know, like being a little bit reserved, safety tricks. But then finals day, it was a little more like all out carnage. Like if you want to win it, you have to go for gold and try your best run. But yeah, as a competitor, I'm not a competitor, but I'm very competitive. But I don't do contests. So I'm like, I didn't know. I struggled a lot with like, I would get nervous and then I'd be like, oh, like, dude, like there's so many good snowboarders and like, how do I take them out? And like, okay, like I've seen all of these people's video parts, like probably gonna do this, probably gonna do that. That's kind of their go-to trick. Okay, so like I need to do this or try this. And it was a bit of a whirlwind, but then what, I mean, helped me, not like save me because I got knocked out, but what helped my mindset was like, right the night before, I was like, I had the thought, it just kind of came to me. I was like, I'm about to drop into the sickest run that I'll ever get to do. Like it's a powder terrain park. And I was like, okay, that's the feeling. So when I got into the start gate, I was just like, I'm just about to take the best run. Like it's powder, there's jumps, like it's gonna be sick.
Yeah, dude, that was, I remember screaming
like,
when you dropped in the front one or the Miller flip over the pillow. I was like, oh my God. And then back three and snow's everywhere and everything's completely fresh. And then your front three, like 100,000 feet past the landing, I was like, oh, like,
but yeah, I just like, I like channeled that feeling. And then, dude, when I pulled out of the gate, like I was going like LBS finals day, just full throttle. Like I'm going fast. I didn't know that the lip of the Great Wall was going to be wind bluffed. So like all the lips were so deep powder. And so I was just pointing it into everything. And then right before I hit that last jump, it went from super deep pow to like hard pack. And I just accelerated and I instantly was just, hold on. I was like, it's pow. I just need to hold on and maybe I'll land. Like
it's like that 120-foot jump you hit in Sun Valley doing that front three when you're on Forum. You're like, don't turn your shoulders.
Yeah,
it's just an indie.
Like, hold on and like maybe you'll land. And then, dude, I was also like, I was so thrown off because so Gigi and I were heat one. Gigi went first and he took a different start line. And I had like my notebook. I like have this notebook and on each page is like an acceleration of runs. I like mapped it out.
Yeah, you got it.
And I was like, the night before, I was like, okay, this is run one. Like, this is the run that I'm most confident on. I'm going for it. And I hit the first jump And then I'm going into the pillow to do the Miller flip, and I see the track like come like this. And I was like, no, like Gigi hit that. And so I hit that, and then I'm going into the next jump and I see his track, and I'm like, dude, like he hit it. Like I was so bummed that he like kind of took this, like we had the same idea of line. He just had a different first hit. Like he took that jump through the trees and I took the road gap. But I was like, I hope people don't think I just like was like, oh, I'm just gonna follow Gigi's track. I was like so bummed. I was like going in all stoked because I like hit the road gap, landed like kind of juiced, like, oh, this, like I've been wanting to hit that pillow feature so bad. Like that's like a dream feature. And then to see the track, I was just like, no. And then to like keep seeing the track, I was like, no, and you can't like change your run mid-run.
What were the overall vibes there like between, you know, the guys and the girls? Was everybody having a pretty good time, or is it like, you know, sometimes you see at the bottom, I mean, it seems like everyone who went there is like slightly competitive, obviously, or they wouldn't have gotten to where they are in snowboarding without being slightly competitive. But like, how are the overall vibes there? Like, you know, was it stressful or like intense, or will you get to the lodge and everybody's having a good time? Or
it was, I mean, obviously it was a bit stressful because it's a contest, and it's
who was the most stressed out?
dude, I don't know. I feel like it's hard saying because I feel
Who
like
took it the most serious?
dude, I don't know. I mean, I took it pretty serious. I was like,
who was the chiller? Who looked like they were chilling the hardest?
probably Mickle.
What a legend.
I feel like he's just like so chill and just, but that's the thing. I think people are good at height. Like I was freaking out, stressing, like I want, like, I mean, everyone there wants to win. And it's like a not like an elimination format. So you're trying to like strategize, like you hope you're up against certain people because you know that like you have a better chance of taking them out.
Totally.
But the vibes were high. I think it was, I've never been to any other major contests. I can't really explain, but I imagine it was like when we were riding the resort on the down days, vibes were high. Like all the competitors, we were just lapping the ditch, and everyone's just sending it, like one-upping everybody. Like if Ferg does a crippler, like McMorris was doing something else, and then Blake's doing something else, and everyone's just like feeding off of this energy. And it was really cool to see that. And
yeah, what would that have been like for that group of people to get together? It was kind of like the first time I think that group has ever been together. You know, you got Mark McMorris, you got, you know, Ejack, and you got Mickle Bang, and you got Gigi, and you got you, and you got Blake Paul and Rasman, you got all the Travis, you have this massive group, and you guys actually get to spend some time together. I just felt like it was good for the snowboard community to get some glue from our like best guys to like have mutual respect and build a relationship, because I think that builds like a strong community if the guys at the top are all actually friends and have a level of appreciation for everybody. I just think it's dope for the kids to see that, you know, most of those guys are homies and stuff.
Yeah, and just like, dude, Blake was just chauffeuring us around the mountain. He would just be like, oh, okay, like we're gonna hit this. And then he would like be so casual and just
Blake
like,
should get on like Louis Vuitton. His style is just so dope and chill.
Yeah. And he would like drop in, like set the line, the speed, because he's like grew up at this mountain, like he knows all the hits. And then it was just like train of everybody just going like crippler, front set, like back three, met like everything. And the energy was like really good. And that I think helped ease a lot of the tension and the stress around the competition aspect. Highlight though, we were on ditch. Dude, we have all like we all hit this backside hit. in the ditch, and Lucy's filming. He's just like getting clips of everybody, and someone's like, "Is that everyone?" And Blake goes, "There's one more." And we all look up, and Sean White is dropping in full speed, dude, so fast, and just like hits the hip, goes bigger than all of us. Just, I think he does like a stiffy or something, stomps it, and then just points it out of the ditch, like through the moguls, and he's just gone. And we were like, no.
There's our golden boy.
Dude,
He still doesn't hang out with anybody in the snowboard industry.
It was so sick. I was like, damn, that was cool.
Yeah, I love that Blake Paul's like, I know the voice he would have used in that given scenario. There's one more. Kind of like Mikey Rentz has kind of got the same
for sure
delivery with his comedic side.
Yeah.
Are there any changes?
What's that?
Are there any changes in the event that you would like to see going forward to next year? I'm assuming you'll be invited back. And I think from me watching, I thought there was maybe like a couple of things that could be changed, but I thought, asking you would be interesting since you were actually there.
Personally, I would like it to be all riders at all stops. And my reason being is winter's short and you can only do so many things, and to dedicate your, like, it'd be nice to be able to be like, I'm doing the tour this year. That's like what I'm doing. Like, I'm going to Jackson for however long. I'm gonna do the comp, we'll film, then go to Baldface, like go sledding in Nelson, do the thing, and in Alaska. And it gives you a chance to like do the tour because different riders are gonna do better at different areas,
Totally.
And I think seeing the full field in all three venues will help like bring everybody up too, and like showcase a better all around like portrait of backcountry snowboarding, because they're all different. Like Jackson's very freestyle oriented. I think it kind of caters to the jumpers. Baldface is a bit more like natty freestyle, and then Alaska is kind of like free ride freestyle. So it's like kind of three like different riders are shine at different venues, and I think that would help add like a lot of flavor to it, and it would help like commit, to the tour rather than being like, okay, like I'm knocked out, like what am I gonna do now?
Totally. And it's also like up to them to make it seem like if they're trying to do a good depiction of what represents backcountry snowboarding, like someone like Manuel Diaz, there's no real spine lines and stuff like that. I feel like they should try to incorporate that in a stop somehow. It's like, so those riders can really showcase like you guys are better at doing the back three tuck knee or whatever, but like to get over to these spine walls are actually like pretty gnar. It'd be kind of nice to showcase kind of that, because I think there's a lot of big mountain riders that are sick, that are really good at navigating really technical terrain, Travis included.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, or like some more like big, like natty kind of rugged step downs would be kind of cool, but I don't know.
Totally.
Instead of like full terrain park style, a little bit more of that like aggressive backcountry riding, like a little sportier.
Yeah, like what was that?
But maybe not. Maybe that's hard to film, and it's just easier to keep it more like freestyle. I'm down for either or. But
I also think it was cool. I really liked how Jackson was a live feed.
Oh yeah, it was so fun.
Like you really felt like you were tuned in and like part of the event, because you have Salema and like T-Bird and all these announcers like talking, and they're like, it's live, it's like happening, like Rasmus and Travis are going head to head, like, and they're just like right there, and they're like,
I love Travis, that.
Like, you got to lay down a heater and like all these things. And that was probably my favorite heat, just because I don't know, I forget if they showed like how the brackets got picked, but it was a spinning wheel with a name. And so it was just random. And they click the button, the wheel spins, it stopped on a name. That person gets to pick where they go in line, like heat 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Then they get to pick if they get to drop first or second. But then as more people pick, there's less opportunities. And Rasman's name comes up, and I'm pretty sure he either had to go first where Gigi was. He had to go like first, last, or against Travis or something. And he was just like, I'm going against Travis. And to me, I thought that was the sickest thing ever, because I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a heat. And like, then like, dude, I love Rasman because like at the bottom too, he's just like so like, oh, so how'd your run go, Travis? Like, I kind of like I landed. I felt pretty good. Like, how did yours go? And Travis is just there like, shut
Fuck
up,
you,
Rasman.
Chris.
Like, I'm gonna take you down.
Oh yeah, it was
Like,
the best thing I've ever seen. I was like, these two guys
oh.
are animals. Like, yeah.
Yeah, so it's cool to see because it adds a lot of personality in the sense of the heat matchups. And then, you know, from there, I was like, the moment I beat Gigi, I was so stoked. But then I had to, and then Blake won, and I was just like, oh no, I'm screwed.
Wow, no, you guys
no, but you know, like
no
he
one's-
was, there's certain people that like I really didn't want to go up against until the end. You know, like Blake's one of those dude. He's like local boy. He has the terrain dialed. Like, you know,
there's only, I thought it was anyone's game if anyone that was invited there had their on day.
totally.
Like Ejac had his worst day ever, and I'm great friends with him, but I've seen Ejac ride when he has his on days, and he's fucking unstoppable.
Dude, when he's on,
he's
he is
and
unstoppable. It's just like
it is, and
he doesn't fall.
and then for next year, or for whatever the reasons why they couldn't come, but you look at, you know, some of the best snowboarders in the world weren't there. You look at Torstein wasn't there.
Yeah.
Arthur Luongo wasn't there. Kazu wasn't there. John Jay wasn't there. And it's like when those guys have their on days, it's like, dude,
Yeah.
like
I also,
yeah.
that's the other hard part is there's so many talented backcountry snowboarders. How do you,
Oh, you sift through them. You have a group of judges. I mean, I would
Yeah.
love to be on that panel picking, because I don't think anyone knows more than snowboarding than I do.
Dude, I would,
so
let's get you on that panel. That
let's
would
get
be
me on that
so
panel,
sick.
Travis. Like
Maybe like, dude,
yeah,
well,
because
first, you should be
I
in
want to,
it. And then,
I'd go in it, but I'd also love to not be in it and to help pick and to like help judge or whatever. Cause I think that, I don't know. I'm talking to Jeff Pinciera. I'm going to weasel my way in there into the Baldface one to do something, hopefully.
yeah,
It's
like
a Canadian stop. We need
know.
some Canadians there.
They do.
I'm gonna transfer this quickly though. Amazing event. Big shout outs to Travis and everyone who works at that event for putting that on. Natural Selection. Super dope. We're going to touch base on this quickly, and then I got a list of 10 questions I want to blast through really quick here. Working with Lucy, I briefly touched on this earlier, but you know, you film Grappel, you film Rooster Tail, High Octane. You get to work with not only your friend, but a like-minded individual who I would say has a very unique way of filming, and it's been a pleasure to watch your snowboarding being captured by him, because me personally, I love it. And I think that I don't know if you would be where you're at without him. I don't think he would be at, I think you guys were a dynamic duo who he captures you so well. It's so fun to watch you under his lens. I think the edits you guys put out together are some of my favorites in the last 4 to 5 years, of just like fun to watch, fast pace, lots of movement, and just like shredding, you know what I mean? Like it's such a good depiction of what snowboarding is to me. I kind of like a lot of like punk music and just fast motion. So take me through what it's like to get to film with Lucy, and you know, do you still enjoy it, or are you getting burnt out and you need a new filmer?
no, still enjoy it more than ever. Dude, well, I mean, thanks for the kind words.
Oh, dude, I'm serious. It's been amazing. I mean, from watching you on Forum to now, it's like it's like your growth and who you've developed into is like it's turning into a masterpiece. You know what I mean? You go through those years where you're wearing a blue shirt and yellow pants, and you know you look ridiculous, and it's like you did, and so did I at those times, and lots of people. But I mean, you only get the goods if you put the work in, and you know now it's like, you know, your painting is coming together and it's just becoming this nice masterpiece that I've been really enjoying. At the beginning, I think we can all say that you kind of like, what am I doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're trying to keep up with the Joneses, but then you do it for 20 years, you start to become a master.
Yeah, thanks. It started, I mean, Lucy and I used to live together in Seattle. He was always filming Think Tank. I was filming Absinthe at the time. And we've always chatted, like he's one of my best friends. And we've always chatted, just like, it'd be so cool to work together one day. And I tried to get him to do an Absinthe movie one year, but he was like full on Think Tank. And then it just lined up, like I got on Quiksilver and they were like, would you want to make something like a short film? And I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. Like it's like, I would love to do that. I've never done it. It's this new exciting thing that I could create. It was a little bit scary. I was nervous, but it was also really good because it's good to keep things like fresh. And then Lucy was the first person I called. I was like, what are you doing next winter? Like, this is the summer. I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, you know, like Think Tank's not making a movie. I just like have my Mervyn obligations. And I was like, dude, let's make a film. And we got like a little bit of budget and we went on 2 trips. So basically it was like, what'd we do? We figured out, I was like, okay, like we worked out, tried to like make him happy, like with his compensation. And then we're like, okay, we have a little bit of money. We could go to Japan and we could go to Stellar. And then we did that first year and it just started, there was a lot of kinks. Like, I don't think you like could never tell, but it was just like, we were both kind of figuring it out. Like I had never just been the foreman, like, okay, we're going to go here. We're going to do like, okay, Lucy, like I need you, like managing everybody.
Riders, like I was actually a Forum kid and yeah. People actually did all this for me.
Yeah. So like figuring that out. And then we had a lot of like, you know, like we had to learn a lot about figuring out music licensing, all these, you know, like, oh shoot, we spent the whole budget on snowboarding, but now we have to like find music, you know, just all sorts of stuff. So the first year was like, we both really enjoyed it and there was a lot of kinks to be worked out. But then the second year, Rooster Tail, that's like, it really clicked and we like honed in on a couple of things that we were experimenting with a lot of like the follow cams and like abstract snowboarding. And then the third year, it just kind of, it keeps evolving each year. And like, Lucy's really good at staying positive, which helps a lot because I can get overwhelmed, frustrated. You know, it's like not always easy to figure everything out. And he's just like really good at like, oh, it'll work out. Or like, dude, like, you got this. Let's just go today. Like, it'll be great. Or like, oh, like, you know, like he's always got like, he's like just like he's supportive.
He's an optimist, glass half full.
Glass half full.
Yeah,
and that's
I like
why
it.
I love it.
I like that, dude.
But yeah, I mean,
I do really
dude, like he had never really snowmobiled. So like when him and I like went to Whistler, I mean, dude, we were like trying to film with you guys, and Rasmus's just like, oh, I don't know, dude. Like, I don't think Lucy.
Every day I get to the parking lot, I'm like, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know how I'm with these guys.
You know, like that was hard, but like I was just like, I was like, don't worry, dude. Like, I got you. Like, we're gonna, no matter what, get into the zone. Like, we'll like, I'm
You're
gonna.
doing the reverse. You're being the glass half full. You're like, it's all positive, Luce. You
Well,
got
no, like
this,
Lucy
buddy.
was stoked, but it was like hard to, like, we just definitely had our difficulties because when you're this far into snowboarding and like I've been snowmobiling for 12 years, but he had like just gotten to snowmobile. Like,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, like going deep, like to deep zones and breaking trail and like and stuff. So like I think him being supportive in like me, like when I get down, and then like me like supporting him and like just always like having his like sticking with him like with snowmobiling and helping him out. Like I'm just like we're friends and like I'm just trying to allow him to be the best version of himself because like I want him to succeed in filmmaking and cinematography and like be the like learn new skills and like try and use connections that I have to like like help him like meet people that can teach him new things and like he's like helping me like he's always like dude like hit up this person like like oh let's like do this. So it's just like a big support system. And I
Rad.
think that's like really important because you like when you work with people on film projects, I think it's just like really important to support each other. Even if like you may disagree on things, it's good to like hear them out, try and understand their side, like whoever it is, like because sometimes I think differently or he thinks differently, but like just trying to like understand, communicate, and be supportive is like are like the keys to success.
Well,
Um,
that could be dragged into every area of life right now. I think that you
totally.
articulated that absolutely
Yeah. And I
perfect because
think like
everyone
it's
needs to look at each other like
because
that.
like I think there's certain friendships like that you maybe couldn't work with, but um dude, like I freaking love Lucy and I like he's so talented and like as a human he's just like got his head on straight. And like for me, I feel like we're just like really good at trying to bring the best out of each other. And it like as a snowboarder, and he's really good at like bringing things to life that maybe like sometimes he'll film stuff that I'm just like, oh, I'll just like rip this. Like I don't even know he's filming. But like he's good at like picking out weird things. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna film it. And then he'll do
Yeah,
like,
he has a vision. I've
yeah,
always there's filmers who film things and then there's filmers who film things for a reason. And they're like, I'm capturing this moment. I really like filmers who edit the project too, or I don't really like them.
yeah,
It's not like I'm having a preference over one over the other, but I definitely like when a filmer is filming something with a specific intent for that rider. If they're also editing the project at the end of the year, they're like, the reason why I was filming this moment was to mash it with this moment, and they go really well together. And those moments, I feel like if you just drop off a folder at the end of the year, I feel like I've said this before on the podcast, they get overlooked.
yeah,
And like Lucy, since he knows you're snowboarding so well, he knows that you're going to want that like surf on the bank with your back knee kind of bent and the snow spraying like this, and you have your hand kind of cool placed in front. And he's also going to know when your legs kind of look a little funky, and he's not going to want to use that. Like he knows what's
yeah,
best for you because you guys have a similar taste. And,
yeah.
there's a trust in his filming that he's going to capture you in a way that, depicts you the
And it,
best.
dude, it's funny too, because like I always know when he wants me to do it again. Like, no, I'm saying,
Oh, I
but,
know. I've filmed
but,
with enough filmers when that's the case.
but like he never's like, I'll be like, I can't really explain it. It's like an expression. I'll be like, I'll like get to the bottom, like, how was it? And he like does this thing. He's like, it's okay. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing it again. Like I've like learned his body language to where I'm like, okay, I don't even need to watch it because like I trust you and I'm just gonna do it again.
I like
Because
that
I
too,
know when
because
he's stoked, because I'll be like, how was it? And he'll just be like, that was fucking sick.
yeah. And then you feel good about it too. And then
Mhm.
you're not up there being like, well, should I do the cab 7 again or the switchback
Yeah.
one? You're like, no, I got that.
Because
And it
sometimes
feels
it's
good.
like, it's hard. Like if you like look at the clip and they're like, oh, well, you did this and this. And it's like, sometimes it's better to just like not look at the clip and just like trust the person they watched it
I hate looking the
live.
clip.
I know it's,
Yeah.
but
Gets in my head.
um, but the other thing that's cool, like I really enjoy about working with Lucy is like we brainstorm. We're constantly like when we did Rooster Tail, and even it's like something we've been trying to not perfect, but really express the past couple of years is when we first started, like Lucy and I sat down, we were chatting. I was like, I want to translate um the vibe of like, you know, like in surfing, how they film like they're filming underwater and like snowboarder, like not snowboarder, surfers like go by.
Yeah.
You know, there's like that, they're like coming at you down the line and then they go underwater, you see the board go by. And so I was like, I really want to express this in snowboarding. Like, how do we do this? And it was a lot of trial and error of like taking GoPros and like putting them in this, just doing stupid stuff. But then it finally like clicked with our project last year in Board Slide Worldwide with the Willie Nelson song. It's like all those slow motion and like jumping over him and like doing all these things with like me basically running, like doing a turn and running into him but not running into him, to like try and express this feeling like through cinematography. But like, how do you express it? I feel like we finally kind of figured it out like this year, but it took Lucy, like we're like almost getting these shots, we're like watching like it's almost it, and then we were at Rutherford and he's like, dude, just run into me. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, literally just like, I'm gonna drop in, I'm gonna hold my line, and when we meet up, do a turn like 20 feet in front of me and just run into me. And I was like, all right. And I didn't run into him. Like we like timed it and we watched the shot and we're like, that's what we were trying to capture. And then
Wow.
we've been like kind of running with that and like trying to bring it into different scenarios, like in the mountains with like pillow riding and stuff. But we've definitely run into each other like A7, like he comes on like an A7. So like he has his whole rig set up and that thing's gone flying, just airborne.
It's
like
it's worth it. It's worth it for the vision, like you said there.
yeah, but
Trial
like
and
working
error.
with him and like being able to like conceptualize ideas and like work them out together and like trial and error, it's really, it's something I like, I never want to take like what we're doing for granted, because like I love doing it. I think the one thing we always talk about is like we really want to get people involved. um that's like another thing, it's just hard because everyone has obligations and brands, you like a lot of riders have obligations to do certain things, so it's like um that's always like a hard aspect of it, but moving forward it's something we're really trying to do. um
Well, I
but
think
yeah,
everybody can say that they're definitely looking forward to the next film that you guys make together, because you guys do a really good job. And I think that the background work that you guys put in, like brainstorming and stuff like that, and coming together to talk about your ideas so that you land in a position with the film coming out in a way that, you know, kind of meets both your expectations. Because it's not really fun filming with somebody who doesn't, it's not fun filming with anybody, a snowboarder, a filmer, a photographer, who doesn't share that same passion. And I think that it's very evident in the way that you ride that you absolutely love snowboarding. And on that note, we will transfer into 10 questions for you. These are meant to be pretty one word answer-ish, kind of just quick ones. And and then I'm gonna eat some lunch.
Lunch sounds great.
All right. Number 1, best style currently and back in the day.
Oof. Currently, Blake Paul. Back in the day, Victoria.
Beautiful. Way to pick. Nice. Yeah, she was amazing. The old TV movies, watching her flow is.
I mean, fast, and just watching her do a toe side turn. I mean, I love a toe side turn powder. You're just
what
like,
a cool picks. Number 2, most underrated boarder.
Most underrated boarder. Dude, I don't know. That's a tough one. Underrated boarder off the top of my head. Phil Hansen.
Sick. He's the best.
Dude,
I don't know him at
so
all. I've never
good.
met him, but I'm a big fan. His
He's
vibes
like-
seem top notch.
He's just, yeah, dude. He could do anything. It's like, just need the, yeah,
I just like that he's always looks so positive.
yeah.
Number 3, what do you get out of snowboarding?
Happiness.
Answer. 4, dopest brand back in the day and why?
Ooh. Dude, I don't know. Robot food.
Sick.
Does that count as a brand? They made
Yeah, they were a
t-shirts.
brand for sure. Yeah. And why? Just out of curiosity.
The vibe, the crew, the community, like friend, just energy.
5, what does your perfect day snowboarding look like?
First run down Gobbles, Mount Baker, chair 5, just 2 feet of fresh blower, first track. Tee off all the hits that get side slipped, and
Have you ever gotten that run before? Does it exist?
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
dude, it's so
6, worst thing about snowboarding.
judgment.
Good one.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. That's a weird
It's
to
like kind of
elaborate
a
on that
weird one.
quickly. I feel like a lot of snowboarders, when you get to with a group of people who don't snowboard like you, or different social circles, like when you were saying that you were on Forum, and you have your Video Grass and you have Standard at the time, or whoever, the DC crew, and they all have like these microclimates that are kind of like, oh, this crew won't like our crew and stuff. Now that I'm older, I just don't have time for that. It's
Dude,
like,
no,
man,
and
we're
like
all sliding
snowboarding-
around on a piece of wood. Like, if you sat with a beer, we would have a good time.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and it's like snowboarding small, like should support each other.
Yeah, that's the reason why I love the like things like you mentioned. You and Lucy want to bring in other people. Natural Selection, when Pat Bridges at Slush does another super park type thing. I can't wait for those events again to bring the community back together, to get rid of any of those fake ego borders that exist, until inevitably you hang out with that other crew and you guys are all like, well, I mean, obviously there's some people that are just lame as, but all the people that listen to my podcast are awesome. So
Yeah.
Number 7, one piece of advice you would give to the next generation.
I don't know. I'd say just like, be yourself. Like, like be the snowboarder that you want to be, because no one else is going to be that snowboarder except you. And I think like a lot of great snowboarders, they all have their like own unique things. Like you have it, everyone has it. And it's like, just like believe in that. Like, don't let anyone tell you different.
Number 8, what's your favorite clip you've ever filmed?
filmed it this year, so I can't say.
No way. Give us a leak.
Um,
What's the trick name?
I can't even say.
Okay.
Favorite clip I've ever filmed was probably a front 10. It was in-depth reception. It was on Cheese Wedge.
Yeah, I know.
And it was, dude, I don't know. That's like, that trick came to mind because I love that trick and I've only done a handful of front 10s in my whole life. Dude, I don't know. Lucy's filmed some, there's another like close-up follow cam from our film Board Slide Worldwide that was like one of my favorite. I back one over Lucy.
Love
I'll
that
send
clip.
you the photo for the
I
thing.
love that clip. Number 9, career highlight.
Winning the Bodie Merrill mini pipe. It's the
Sick.
only contest I've ever won.
Was Bodie in it?
I think so.
Probably. We beat the most talented snowboarder in the world. Like Bodie Merrill's a freak.
No, I don't know. Career highlight actually is Miller flipping the Craig Kelly cross.
Yeah.
But the competitive side of me wants to say.
And number 10, get fired up. Who is the GOAT?
Oh! The GOAT? Everyone's got a different answer for this. I'm gonna go current day, our generation GOAT. Because I like to Pat Moore, dude. Like,
What a sick.
let's think about, okay, first of all, Pat Moore's part in Landline, that is one of the greatest parts of all time. Just the intro, like the Primus bass line, and he's just going rogue, like, oh, the switchback 5, dude. Come on.
I'm a big,
Like,
I've always
Pat's-
kind of, yeah.
Pat's
Huge.
done it. Like, if there's obviously GOAT. I feel like everyone goes past GOATs. Like, we could even do a past GOAT, but I just want to go Pat Moore because current day, it's just like, dude, he's done it. He's still doing it, and he's done, like, he has all the things, you know?
Hips,
Backcountry
jumps,
part,
quarter pipes, half pipes,
half pipe.
every one of those parts, X Games medals, big lines, going absolutely massive. He's done everything. And his most recent part in Evergreen, he has like 2 or 3 or 4 clips that are just, he has a crail into like a tranny fine that's mind blowing. He has a massive front 3 tranny fine, like lots of, because he's been riding with Arthur.
Yeah.
He just has lots of, like, you have to know the exact speed and you have to be somebody that's as talented as Pat Moore to be able to do those things within 1 or 2 tries. And Pat's doing, and what a sick one. I wasn't expecting Pat, and being a massive Pat Moore fan,
dude,
and watching him spin in every direction and do every trick, and to just be one of the best advocates for snowboarding. I mean, even the course he puts on in Baldface and stuff. So what a rad way to end the podcast here. Any shout outs or anything you want to say at the end here?
I would like to shout out RVG.
Your lovely lady that you met at Baldface.
She's like my ultimate support crew.
That's, hey man, in these times you need that, and the fact that you found that, and with a lover, and that's someone that shares the same passion is, you know, what most would only dream for.
Yeah, that's an actual dream come true.
I'm happy to hear that for you, man.
Thanks.
For both of you. I knew Robin a
She's
lot
still got me
longer.
on methods, dude. She's just like,
yeah, definitely.
insane
She's got
methods. I've got a sloppy method, and she's just
her and Mary France Roy, I would say,
dude,
for girls, have the 2 best methods.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
she's really, really, yeah. Well, get to brainstorming about your next season with her, because we're excited to see the next Depth Perception 2 with the whole Quiksilver gang, and maybe you can even get a shot of Todd Richards.
Dude, we need more Todd Richards footage.
That's what I was saying. I was like,
Did
where
you
was
see
Todd? I
the
wanted a Todd
twist he
clip in
did at
depth
Holy
perception.
Bowly this year?
No,
Dude,
I saw
51
him
years
there.
old.
I didn't see the clip though.
Dude, 51-year-old. I think he's hopefully, sorry, Todd. How he's over 50 doing McTwists.
Dude,
That's another life.
to be Todd Richards.
Just to McTwist at 50. That seems so cool.
Yeah, he's definitely cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. I've been a big fan for a long time, and even bigger fan these last few years. And I think you're going about snowboarding exactly the direction that we need to be going, and having fun, capturing it in a good way, going to the right events. You're riding for cool brands. So, I mean, keep it up. I'm excited for the next 10 to 20 years of footage.
Thanks, Jody. Thanks.
And I'm excited to film some clips with you this year.
I know. I can't wait.
I'm jonesing.
Dude, thanks for having me, and thanks for doing airtime.
Thanks, man. I like
People
doing it.
love
I like talking about
love it.
snowboarding.
I
In
mean,
fact, I love
yeah.
it.
It's so fun. It's the best.
All right. Well, have a good day. Say hello to the lady, man, and all the best to you guys until I see you guys again. Hopefully sooner than later. Come up to Yuki and maybe get some surfing before the boarding.
Come on up.
I will. Take
Can't
care,
wait.
man.
Thanks, Jody.
Peace.
Later.
All right, dude. That was 10 out of 10. Dude, I have to go to the
Wow.
washroom so bad.